Members, staff and gallery, I declare the 20th of August meeting of Council open. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout the Barossa region and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture, and pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging. Members, we have a leave of absence from Councillor Barrett, Councillor De Vries and Councillor Richard Miller. I understand that Councillor Boothby will be joining us shortly. I'll move to item 1.5, which is the council meeting held on the 20th of July 2021. Someone move those minutes. Councillor Johnston, seconded Councillor Havik. All those in favour? Carried.
Doesn't matter, I've got it.
There's no matters arising. We'll move to question on notice, which is a question on notice asked by Councillor Schilling in regards to the big project, and a response has been recorded. Someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Schilling. Seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? Carried. Mayor's report on page 9, 2.1. Any questions? Someone move the Councillor Angus and seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? Carried. Members, the consensus agenda has been circulated. Is there any items that anyone wish to have withdrawn from the consensus agenda? Would someone move? Councillor Johnston, seconded Councillor Angus and seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? Carried. We'll move to item 7.2.1, which is the monthly financial report on page 61. Any questions that members may have?
I'll move the report.
Moved Councillor Johnston, seconded Councillor Troop. All those in favour? Carried. Item 7.2.2 on page 64. This is the Nuriupa War Memorial Swimming Pool, pool shell testing and pre-season repair and maintenance on page 64. Anyone have any questions? Councillor Schilling.
Yes, on page 137 in the scenario, it talks about the pool working group heat pump costing $400,000. But I just wanted to highlight that included the other items from the swim club as well, that the heat pump was only $150,000. Because it doesn't say that it talks about the heat pump, but it doesn't talk about the bulkheads and the other item, the shade that the swim club also wanted in that grant application.
On page 137,
I
you
think
said,
it was
yes,
137.
okay.
Hang on.
I guess that chart's still something that's still to
Still
be
being worked on,
populated further
yeah.
too, so, yeah.
Because another item on there was also the removing the toddler pool from the main filtration as well, that costing was still very high at 200,000.
Ms Thomas?
Through you, Mayor, yes, we provided this purely for indicative purposes so that you could see the work that we're doing behind the scenes. We obviously haven't had a chance to even workshop this or present it. We were keen, however, to let you see it so that you could give us a little bit of a steer and guidance around whether you thought we're on the right track with the presentation. We're trying to put a lot of information in a fairly condensed format.
Yep.
And yeah, the dollars and things will need a whole lot more work. The other thing that was also included in that figure, of course, was the consideration of the electrical capacity upgrade. But yeah, the numbers, still need looking at.
Councillor Angus?
Yeah, I'd be happy to move the recommendation if there are no further questions.
You question or seconding?
I'll second it.
Okay,
If I may speak,
yes, carry on.
I would urge councillors to support this recommendation. It has nothing to do with the request from the swimming club for heating and shade and all those other ancillary benefits. This is just getting the pool back up to standard for this and subsequent swimming seasons, providing the destructive testing doesn't prove that it's beyond its useful life. So I think this is a logical next step. Whether we spend $400,000 on heat pumps and shade and all those things is absolutely for another day. I would draw your attention to some of the pages 65. The supporting documentation is actually out of date. It was changed. It's got here, Councillor Johnston moved a motion and then moved that the motion be put. Now that has been rectified in a previous meeting, but it's found its way back into the minutes. So that needs to be changed again. Does Mr. McCarthy understand? Am I correct?
I do.
I think it's an old version that's found its way back into the system.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I'd urge you to support this and let's get on with getting this asset back into working order. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hayvick?
I'd agree with what Councillor Angus has just said. In the past, there's been a lot of debate over the current structure of the pool. To date, there's been no conclusive structural issues. The main structural ongoing issue has been the filtration plant. Over the number of years, council has spent some monies on the pool, dealing with maintenance, but nothing really on the filtration plant. I think $150,000 seems a lot of money, but in real terms it is cheap, comparing the benefits to the community and keeping the pool operating for some years. So I fully support the recommendation as it is. I hope other members here would do the same.
Thank you. Councillor Johnston?
Through your worship, just a question for Ms Thomas is, we commit ourselves to a $150,000 expenditure on a 4-year-old filtration system that would appear to be the only opportunity we have to source an appropriate filtration system that's of, that sort of low cost, because I imagine if that's a second-hand one, anyone's guess as to what a brand new system would cost. Given that there's some concerns about corrosion in a sector of the pool, and we're going to do some destructive testing, as I understand, to uncover whether or not there needs to be repairs in that area. If it's found that the pool is in such a difficult shape that we may have, extensive repairs required, is there an opportunity to cancel out of this purchase, or is it something we're going to have to commit to now and can't back out of it? There's a timing issue here. We haven't really understood the soundness of the structure, despite what's being said. And so we're having to source this filtration system in a hurry because it would appear to be one of the last opportunities we might have to restore the thing. So I'm just keen to understand whether there is a sort of a stage gate process that says that if the destructive testing suggests that the thing's got some difficulties, can we back out of that purchase?
Thomas?
Through you, Mayor, I think we're getting to the pointy end of the timeline. We are doing a project timeline for the work that needs to be done. I think there's a couple of tensions there. The figure that we've put in the report is hopefully the worst case scenario. We may through the local provider be able to get something that is a bit cheaper and possibly new, but we don't know what their supply timeline is yet fully. And in terms of the destructive testing, if the resolution's adopted, then we'll order that straight away today. The intent was that would probably take about 3 weeks for them to actually do the test. Then we'd immediately fill the pool while we're waiting for the report to come back, because otherwise we are going to run out of time. So I don't think I can definitively answer your question, but I think in order for us to get the pool open at the beginning of November, we need to get the work done straight away, because it's also a time of year when the available contractors are actually spread across the state doing work on opening community pools. So it's quite often if you miss your place in the queue, then you go to the back of the queue. So I don't think I've fully answered your question. My take is that we're asking council to commit to the funding and we'll press ahead and get the work done, notwithstanding the outcome of the destructive testing, which of course we'll bring back to you once we know. I don't know whether CEO has any other thoughts on that.
Councillor Schilling?
Yes, I fully support the recommendation as well, and I'd like to note well done to the staff for the work that's gone into this report, because it does give some clarity around what's required and what's been discussed over a very long period of time, and appreciate the amount of work that's gone into this facility. Just one question, Ms Thomas, about the warranty on those second-hand pods. It says that it's the same as new, but do you know exactly how long that is?
I thought we'll put that in just 1 second. I think
12 months?
it's only 12 months.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor Troop?
It was just my understanding from reading this is actually the fix for the next season, and that is like general maintenance that we can open for this season, which is what we actually agreed upon, to open it until we couldn't open it, if that makes sense. So would that be correct?
And through you, Mayor, yeah, this is the
Yep.
that's the case. Hopefully they'll last a lot longer than 1
Exactly.
year.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I just echo Councillor Schilling's comments, commend staff for the diligent work that you've undertaken to sort of bring it to that level where the service is maintained, as Councillor Angus has indicated, and further scoping work will proceed. So I think it's well done to you all in doing the deep dive as you have. I probably see that the cost for these pods, you've gone at the higher end of it in any case, to cover, taking into account that some of the contractors have come in a bit lower. So well done to you and the staff involved to give such a detailed report and such a comprehensive explanation of where we're up to at this particular time, with further work to proceed. Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Oh, sorry, Councillor Angus, you wish to close the debate.
Thank you, Mayor. I think enough has been said.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Page 190 is 7.2.3, the business case for sustainable resourcing model, phase 2, page 190. Any questions? Councillor Johnston,
I'll move the motion.
moved Councillor Johnston, seconded Councillor Troop. Wish to speak to the motion, councillor?
No, I think we've been over this a number of times, and I'll just commend the CEO and bring it back for our attention to move on with this project.
Councillor Troop?
Well, I echo that, and also I appreciate the emails we've been getting from the CEO about, and you know, how we're updating it, and I reckon the feedback's been really good from what I can see, so I'm really excited by it actually.
Yes. Councillor Havik?
Just a comment, Mayor, I'd just like to thank Martin for the report. I've read it right through, very in-depth. Well done, Martin, and it's good to see that there's some big savings coming up. Who knows what we'll do with them, but
Clever accountant.
Through you, as I explained to some of my staff, I said it's a reduction in cost, not necessarily a saving.
whatever way you like to put it, it worked well.
We'll take the first.
It can be used up somewhere else, can't it?
Yep.
Okay, and well done, and yeah, thanks, Martin, and for everybody involved in the way in which we're progressing and moving forward in a cohesive manner. It's really, really great. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. (247), page 247. The draft complaint handling process and request for service process, 7.3.1. Any questions? Councillor Troop?
Just making a comment, question, I'll make it a question. Is there any strategy for in customer services to deal with clients that perhaps are have a tendency towards mental health issues and actually outworking it on both counsellors and staff? I'm just concerned that we've all had in the last year or so quite a few incidents with people who are perhaps disclosing even suicide, and the actual process that we've got in place for counsellors and staff to actually be supported in that, because I think there is a need for us to have strategies, and as part of the Suicide Prevention Network, I'd love to explore that a little bit further, because I think we are all dealing with the public. So is there any strategies as such, maybe CEO? I don't know, Sean.
CEO?
I think you're talking about training and support for people that may have dealt with a difficult client, etc.
Yes.
The main strategy obviously is debriefing and supporting that particular person. We do things like, we have done training around things like managing, what's the right title for it? Managing
Difficult and aggressive customers.
Thank you. Debrief's an important component.
Through you, Matt. We've also given our customer support officers the phone number for the rural outreach program. So if there are any concerns for a customer who's ringing up and potentially disclosing, if it's an immediate risk, obviously you're calling the 000, but if it's just a concern for welfare, we're utilising that number, and they've been amazing so far for when that has occurred. So we do have that accessible as well.
And through you, for staff, they have access to employee assistance program as well, confidential conversation with people. And if there has been a significant event, we've brought EAP onto the site.
Thank you. Any other questions? Someone like the motion? Councillor Troops, moved and seconded. Councillor Havik, wish to speak? Either one of you tonight?
Only just also looking at just councillors when they're in that sort of situation, or the mayor. I just think there might need to be a little bit more accessible so that we can access it, because actually I've been called upon as a as a deputy chair of the Suicide Prevention Network, or how do I deal with this person? So maybe that would be the only thing that I would actually appreciate, that support as a counsellor, that I would know the strategies and you know, that to be accessible, like we can actually access them. How do I deal with this? You know, when, where, who do I go to? You know, even a list of phone numbers that we can access on the drive, sorry. But other than that, I think this is wonderful, and I think that we do support our staff really well. But I just think there's a little gap in the counsellors' area, that's all. That might be what needs to be having a look at, if you ask me. But anyway, other than that, it's excellent, and I'd move the recommendation, support it, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Hovick, you wish to speak?
Only to say, Mayor, that I've dealt with complaints processes for many years, and I think it's this, I've read right through it, and I think it's well written.
Thank you. Put the motion, all those in favour? Carried. Page 267, 7.3.2, which is the principal office closure delegations.
Move the recommendation.
Councillor Angus, seconded Councillor Johnston. Wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Just a question for the CE. I'm assuming that this is just unique to this particular state of emergency that remains in place, and that the delegation will expire once the government stops extending the emergency.
Through you, so that's correct.
Pretty much, okay, I've understood it, thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Page 276. Which is the appointment of a committee member for the Barossa Regional Gallery Committee and Community Service Committee. There's a recommendation there, and thanks to Councillor Troop for her involvement over previous years, but recent commitments. Councillor Hovick.
Mayor, I'll put my name up for the Community Assistance Scheme Committee.
Okay, Councillor Hovick has put forward his name for the Community Assistance Scheme. And any volunteers for the Barossa Regional Gallery Committee? Councillor Schilling.
Yes, I'd be happy to put my name down for that one. Can you just confirm, Ms Hargie, when those meetings occur? Please.
They occur every second month on a Tuesday evening. We haven't had one for a little while because of the COVID lockdown, so the next one will be next month, first Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
Thank you. So there's the recommendations there. So with Councillor Schilling's name to be added for the Barossa Regional Gallery Committee and Councillor Hovick for the Community Assisted Committee. Someone?
Yeah, I'll make that.
Councillor Angus and seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? Carried. Councillor Hovick, you've got a meeting a little bit later on today.
The minutes and agenda are in the drive, David, if you want to download them now.
After the next bit.
We'll catch up with you after the council meeting, councillor. We'll move to the works and engineering agenda. 294, page 294, which is the AGI Sport Adelaide Hills Rally, proposed road closures. This, I think we had something earlier on, but it didn't happen because of COVID and a few other things. Any questions?
I'll move the recommendation.
Moved Councillor Johnston, seconded Councillor Wee Smith. Wish to speak? All those in favour? Carried. Page 299. Which is a additional footpath proposal put forward by the Director of Works and Engineering for the Kalimna Creek Reserve footpath. due to the extent of deterioration.
I'll do that.
Any questions? Moved, councillor Hearn, and seconded councillor Hayvick. Wish to speak?
No, it's all good.
Except when David's here.
All those in favour? Carried. Page 304, the Jutland Water Reserve Management. This is a memorandum of understanding between council and for the management of the Jutland Water Reserve. Any questions?
Move the recommendation.
Moved councillor Wee Smith, seconded councillor Johnston. Either one of you wish to speak? All those in favour? Carried. Members, will now move to the confidential items that we have listed. Community service report to do with the Anguston Railway Station building lease, and a development and environmental service report with application to register change on a property in Nuriupta. Would someone
I'll move that we move to confidence.
into confidence? Councillor Johnston, seconded councillor Wee Smith. All those in favour? Carried. We bring councillor Johnston back in.
I have to.
If we come out and we go back in again. Okay, members, we have another confidential item, which is an application to register change. Would someone move, we go into confidence? Move councillor Johnston, seconded councillor Boothby. All those in favour? Carried. Councillors, that brings us to the end of our agenda for this council meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is the 21st of September 2021 at 9 AM. With that, I formally close the August meeting. Thank you.